this is Dick Warlock, Michael Myers from Halloween 2, and you're listening to the Tim and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Tim and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, the hovercraft Harley.
Hey, Timo. How'd you know I had a hovercraft?
I just guessed. Mr. Ben Harley, we are we're running a little bit late today, so I'm going to jump right in here. There's lots of things I'd like to talk about, Showdown podcast. I was going to mention something about those guys. I just did. Bob Fancher came over from Ultraman, and me and him did some writing for some new Ultraman stuff. I just mentioned that too.
Nice,
I've mentioned it. There we go. Let's just start talking about stuff we watched this week. How's that sound to you?
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, let's get through some. Let's see here. Oh, a couple of Japanese movies. Yeah, I kind of went on a Japanese freak out. Wore a kimono around the house and stuff like that.
Did you? Nice.
Yeah. I was watching. What was I watching? Something. I'm not even sure what I was watching. And Angio got her thinking, because I always ask her, what do you guys want to watch? What do you want to watch? What do you want? What do you want to look at? She's like, anything foreign? I said, of course I do. So I grabbed a Akira Kurosawa movie. Because I'm gearing up for an Akira Kurosawa freak out.
Yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
I can't do that every day, though. That's a little bit too much. But Angio and I watched Rashomon.
Oh,
yeah, Rashomon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, with
good.
Toshio Mifune in it, which was his his guy. So this movie was from 1950. Pretty interesting. It takes there's a murder, and this is in feudal Japan. Okay, samurai days. And there's a murder and a rape of a husband and wife. So the husband gets murdered and the wife gets raped. And so basically it's like a feudal Japan style trial about what happened. And it's from every point of view. So how this went down. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So we enjoyed watching that. And then I told Angio, I said, this Toshio Mifune, this guy is a really interesting guy. I said, I have a documentary called Mifune. The Last Samurai. It's called Mifune, the Last Samurai. So we watched that too. What was interesting about that is that, let's see, let me see if I get this straight. He's Japanese, but he was born in China. His family moved to China. He was born in China, then got drafted back to Japan.
Oh no!
When World War II broke out before that, and had to go back and be dickholes to Chinese people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was kind of a squirrely guy, but he was he was tortured and everything. I mean, he was a big, tough guy. He was a real deal or whatever. Yeah. So that was fun. So if you ever get a chance to see anything Kurosawa did, there's a reason that you've heard his name, put it that way. I mean, his movies are really, really good. So that was fun to watch. Watched another documentary called How to Not Make a Horror Film.
Okay, nice. Enlighten me.
The options are endless where that one came from, right? So it is an Australian documentary, about a guy who tried to make a horror film and just fell apart on him. It's not too bad. I think if you don't know a whole lot about movies, this might be more entertaining. But when you are around it like you and I'm sure a lot of our audiences, it might be a little taxing on you because it's like, I know how movies are done now. I mean, we've got this figured out, but it's not too bad. And at least the guy did go on to make other films, but he never did get this one accomplished.
Finished.
Yeah, and it looked like it might have been kind of fun. But again, it's called How Not to Make a Horror Film. That is on Amazon Prime. Right.
Okay.
So a couple more things on Amazon Prime. Watched a couple more documentaries. One was called The Gits.
Okay.
About a Seattle band, The Gits, who had a singer, Mia Zapata, who was murdered.
Really?
So this is a little bit about the band The Gits, about the Seattle scene, how they were influential in their own way in the Seattle scene. I think they had a big party house where everybody came and did little basement shows or front room shows or whatever you want to call them and stuff like that. So kind of heartbreaking a little bit, obviously, because there's murder involved in it and stuff like that. But it was interesting enough to me. Not a huge fan of the music. I was listening to the music. I'm like, nah, it's not really my thing. I'm not a big fan of female singers, mostly because I'm a chauvinist pig and a racist. It's either that or I just don't identify as much with their lyrics. So I'll let you people decide which one of that. I'm going with stereotypical chauvinist pig. I'm going to put my money down on that. I don't play fair, though. So, but no, it wasn't too bad, though. It is a little heartbreaking, a little heart-wrenching. Whether or not I like the music or not, a lot of other people did. So what I say isn't correct or incorrect. It's just what I prefer. And pretty sad. But they did have a conclusion to it, though.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, it was fairly satisfying. So, because they've tried to look for the killer for like 10 years.
Really?
The band took up a collection. I think Joan Jett. You ever heard of the Evil Stig? That was Joan Jett. Joan Jett fronted a band called Evil Stig. And they went around. I remember him playing here in St. Louis. Well, Stig backwards is Gits. So it was the band The Gits, and Joan Jett took Mia Zapata's place in order to make money to fund Private Eyes to find the killer.
Wow.
Yeah. So interesting. Not too bad. Yeah. Again, it's called The Gits. Gits. Let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. Angio and I watched Sid and Nancy.
Nice.
Movie about Sid Vicious.
Yes.
Punk rock week. I'm going to punk rock freak out a little bit here.
Good.
Yeah. Directed by Alex Cox, who did Repo Man, which is another punk rock.
That's another one of your favorites. There.
It is. Yeah.
Fan?
Sid and Nancy is pretty good. It's okay. It's a bit of obviously a dramatized. It's a fictionalized account, obviously, of Sid. I mean, to me, everything I've ever seen and heard, that Sid Vicious was a little bit more of a shy person. Not that he didn't have punk rock outbursts. I'm not saying that. But a lot of times he was goaded into it most of the time, from what I can tell.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Into doing stuff. Sure. Otherwise, he just liked to walk around and make his pouty face. And the face that Billy Idol stole.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Sure did. That one. So not too bad.
That's a good movie, though. I like it. It's I actually saw that in the theater when it came out. Yeah. Good. And that really kind of turned me on to Gary Oldman. So I have to tip my hat for sure to Sid Nancy. And it's got some good music in it. It's got some good tunes. And there's some funny stuff in that film. Yeah. Just downright funny, And, but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We enjoyed it. Not something you want to watch all the time. It's hard to watch heroin addicts.
It gets depressing towards the end. Sid, you don't even know that girl. Where you going?
Right. And the funny thing is, too, is I had forgotten this. And I don't know why I forgot this. It's one of the biggest things about this movie. But I actually was telling Angio, we took a little smoke break, and she didn't know the story very well. So I told her, I said, well, Nancy, let's just put it this way. I said, Courtney Love was known as a Nancy clone. Let's put it that way. I totally forgot that Courtney Love is actually in the movie.
In it, yeah.
And I saw her, I'm like, oh, as a matter of fact, there's Courtney right there. And Angie looked at me like, what? I mean, it was almost like the what was last week, the Hydra comment we were watching.
Yeah.
I would have mentioned Courtney Love, and boop, she pops right up there as a young kid. But not too bad. I do not like seeing Courtney Love. I do, even if she didn't kill Kurt Cobain. She might as well put the gun in his hand, I think, to do it. So I do not like her, do not want anything to do with her. Anyone wants to talk to me about her, you can turn around and walk away. So anyway, moving right on, Mr. Ben Harley. Another documentary on Amazon Prime. Watch
Documentary freak out.
Yes. Watch Cassette, a documentary mixtape.
Oh, okay.
So it is a movie about the cassette tape.
Nice.
And
mixtapes?
Well, it has a little bit of that, but we have like Thurston Moore, Ian MacKaye, Henry Rollins, all the punk guys talking about their mixtapes. We all made mixtapes of punk rock for friends and kind of sexy stuff for the ladies, right? You couldn't tell a lady what you felt, so you had to make her a mixtape.
Put a
little Sebado in there, some Cure, things like that. But this movie actually talks a lot to Lou F. Ottens, who was kind of credited as a creator of the cassette tape and the CD. Can you believe that?
No.
The guy who made the cassette tape killed his own creation with it.
Yeah.
And this guy's kind of funny because there's a lot of people that are going around, you know, and they love cassette tapes and VHSs now and stuff. And he's an old dude now. And he's like, I honestly think that people are doing that out of an irrational nostalgia.
Nice.
The sound quality was terrible. You know, you can go on and on about it. It's pretty funny. And I like it when Henry Rollins has his tapes. He's like, there's nothing like analog. Well, yeah, but the difference between like a 2-inch tape in a studio going to a CD and your cassette tape are a little different.
A lot different.
How good those heads were and the hiss and everything, you know. So, but it was okay. It wasn't too bad. Again, it's called Cassette, a documentary mixtape. They do have some people talking about their mixtapes, and you do get a little bit like, yeah, I made those too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, moving along with here, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yes, sir.
On Svengoolie this week.
Svengoolie.
We had a 20 million miles to Earth.
Yeah.
Starring. I did, starring at William Hopper from Perry Mason.
Perry Mason, yes. I like him.
Well, I watched part of it. Angio, Chance, and I sat down. We started watching it, and Chance wasn't sure if he wanted to see it or not. He ended up moving. He ended up walking on. He took off, and then Angio got up at the Corey or something. So I stopped it. About halfway through the movie, that's how far we got in Svengoolie. I have it on Blu-ray. Yeah. So Angio and I, we finished that sucker up. Had fun with it. That's a lot of monster in that movie. A whole lot of monster. I really like it. I mean, and I like it more. It's not super exciting or anything. But it's still got a lot of monster in it. And it's about the monster. So that's kind of what I like. It's not a lot of love story.
Mm-hmm. That's better. Yeah.
Pretty good. Interesting to see it in Rome, in Italy, too. So I guess it could be a seminal Italian horror film. I don't know. Or a sci-fi film, I guess. I don't know. Even though I don't really believe it is truly Italian, and it is set in Rome and Italy. But kind of fun to see a monster beat up the Colosseum and things like that. So.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I've seen that.
You should go back and see it. It's fun. It's got lots of monster in it, which is really, really, very cool. Let's see here. Mr. Ben Harley watched a new Bigfoot documentary. Ooh, it's on Amazon Prime. So you got this.
Okay.
It's called Bigfoot, A Hidden Reality.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So this is a short, your typical 1 hour, low budget, self-produced documentary about some researchers from Florida. Okay.
Skunk ape in it?
Well, these people seem to be like mentally, as far as how they think, they might be closer, at least to me, along the lines of, you can call it a skunk ape, a wood booger, whatever the hell you want to call it, whatever it is, it's Bigfoot. You know, like they don't get mired down in the differences between the Yahoo and the Midnight Whistler. Okay. They just say it's Bigfoot. I got that part of it, but it's kind of weird because they are really self-assured. Okay. And they're showing these pictures that they're just like, hey, you don't believe in Bigfoot? Well, how come you haven't looked at these pictures? And these pictures are blurry pictures of tree lines. And they have circles around little dark splotches, and they're going, you can clearly see. Yeah, you can clearly see this is a Bigfoot. I don't know what kind of Rorschach tests these people have been taking. I have no idea, but they show this stuff and let it sit there. Yeah. And I got some pretty nice TVs. I mean, the clarity doesn't get much better. And I got nothing for you. I couldn't see one thing. Not one thing that to me was like, oh, there it is. I'd be like, there he is. I guess that could be the outline of a nose and a mouth, or is those two is that a chest? Like, or is it just leaves in the shadows? I don't know, Ben Harley.
Those are the worst. There's a lot of photos floating around there like that. You know, it's like that just makes it to me. I'm like, I don't know. You're reaching. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, you're reaching.
Yeah, you know? And I know a lot of people in the Bigfoot community, and too bad we missed the Bohau Bigfoot conference this year, but you hear them every now and then. They'll point out somebody that's there and say, well, that guy right there, he sees Bigfoot in every tree line. and takes pictures and circles them and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah. But the interesting thing is, the one thing I did not know, or at least had not heard before personally, and maybe I just overlooked this, but they were talking about the hair samples. I'm like, all right, hair samples. I'm like, well, they come back as human DNA and very close to human or inconclusive. Well, inconclusive could mean a new species.
True.
I'm not a scientist, Ben Harley, but I know the English language. Okay, I am. That is true. So this hair changes color in the light.
Whoa.
So when you hit it with light, or when you take light away or hit it with light, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It goes green. And then when you hit it with a man-made light, a natural light, it just freaks out. It just looks like like a disco suit or something. Really? It's nuts. So what they're saying is the reason the people don't see them is because their fur itself is light sensitive and changes with the lighting so that it can blend in, almost like Predator,
like a chameleon.
Almost like chameleon. Actually, chameleon. I'm saying Predator to be funny. Chameleon is very serious. It's instead of it being the skin, it's the hair. So it has a chameleon-like hair, which I would have been like, well, that's really convenient had they not, at least to my eyes, shown the hair and shown it go through different lighting, and it did change.
Wow. Okay.
So that was interesting. So the whole whole documentary made me think, well, that's interesting. But even if it's true, a picture's not going to help, man.
No.
It's not helping. I can't see anything. It actually makes me think Bigfoot's a phony. Looking at these things, it's a fraud. Looking at these things, it's like, I can watch one doc and be convinced, and this one, they're really trying to convince you. I'm going, that's bullshit. That ain't nothing. So anyway, but
funny.
It was okay. It was interesting for a guy like me or you.
Sure. Yeah.
Or a lady like me or you. I don't know. I don't want to be sexist again. Not twice in one show.
There you go.
Damn. But it's okay. But if you've seen everything, at least this isn't what you've seen before. It's no really new information, but the hair. And the hair is fairly interesting. And they really do try to convince you it can be sitting right next to you, which we do talk about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We do talk about that. It can be sitting right next to you, would never know.
And that's, and that's a big deal, really, because I think that's one of the reasons that they are so elusive. You know? They're good at hiding, Timo, too.
Well, if you got fur that can do that, it's probably it's probably harder to be bad at hiding. You could be standing on the field waving, going, "Hey, Murray, Murray," and Murray can't see it because you got the fur, you got the light sensitive fur stuff. Yeah, so I don't know, I don't know, but it's okay.
I'll be hiding from everybody all the time. That's my problem.
You're out there looking for a wig right now with that hair.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's see. Last year, Mr. Ben Harley did watch a documentary that I even sent you. And this is one that we have talked about on the show. And I think you like this band. It's called End of the Century, The Story of the Ramones.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So this is the long and a little bit more thorough story. Of course, all this stuff has a bit of exaggeration, and who knows what's really true. But they do a good job of trying to get a fairly accurate and thorough picture of the Ramones and how they kind of came to be. I did like how they really kind of got their personalities out there a little bit. Didn't really sidestep the fact that Joey was a bit of a he's a mental case, and Dee Dee was a bit of a heroin guy and stuff like that, and Johnny was Johnny.
Johnny was
kind of a dick,
kind of a dick taskmaster.
One thing though, Harley, I did like this, but there's one thing that look, here's the I got a little bone to pick here. I am really fucking sick of hearing that no one's ever heard of them.
Oh yeah, me too.
I mean, I'm watching this documentary going, what? And that they had no money. What? Yeah, they had money.
Yeah, they did.
They even said that Joey had money. He didn't have to do this. He had enough money.
Yeah, he could have retired at any point. Yeah.
It's almost like to me, it's like bullshit you weren't heard of. You're in punk. I mean, it wasn't really known as punk rock then, but it was punk rock. You know, it's like, it's almost like, okay, here's a good one. It's like a hockey player pissed off he didn't succeed at baseball. Ramones were not a pop band. They weren't Styx.
No.
Okay. They weren't Boston. They were the Ramones. They weren't supposed to, they were supposed to confuse radio. That was the point. And then they're like, well, we could have been bigger. No, you couldn't have been bigger. No, you were like huge.
Yeah,
I mean, you got the Clash, Sex Pistols, Ramones. The Poor Damned is down there way at the bottom, and they've been around just as long. But in popularity, that's it. So I get a little tired of it. I'm like, you had a prolific career. I mean, you had money. You had a career. You were successful. I think it's their ambition talking, which I do respect.
Yeah.
And that they're not claiming they wanted to stay a punk rock band with nobody listening to them. I get that. So that I understand. I think they're articulating it in sort of a simplistic way that makes it sound like nobody gave a fuck about us. Then they cut to a television program they were playing on. Ben Harley, I played music for 35 or some odd years. I have played on one, maybe two television programs, and it was public access.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, you know? So although I did enjoy seeing that, I did enjoy hearing the stories about them going to London and the Sex Pistols worrying that they were going to beat them up, worrying the Ramones were going to beat them up and stuff like that, you know, everything.
Ramones
and it was
were a
fun.
gang.
Right. So it was fun. I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I got to send it to you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate him. It's one of my favorite documentaries. I think it's good. It doesn't pull too many punches. It shows them for what they were, you know, and you have, like, you know, two guys that were in a band together that didn't speak for, I mean, I'm sure they had to speak at some point, you know what I'm saying? Right. But, like, you know, you can't go that long and not talk, you know.
Right.
Even if you say, get the hell out of my way, you might have to say that at some point, you know, something. But just, you know, some of that stuff I find interesting too. But the older I've got, I've become much more of a Johnny Ramone fan. I mean, I always have been, but I respect him a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I know a few people like him, Timo included, kind of ish, sort of, a little.
That what the fuck are you talking about, man? Come on, I'm gonna punch you. No, I'm not.
No, you know, I mean, just that don't pull any punches and really, you know, leave it out there. And this is how I feel. And then, I mean, there's a point in there when they're talking about with Joey Ramone dying and Johnny not reaching out to him, but he put it out there. This is why I did not, you know, and you have to kind of like, some of that stuff's like, wow, it's just, so I learned a lot more stuff like that, you know, through the documentary. I knew a lot of some of it, but I think a lot of it too with them is that they just felt like the bands that they influenced so much went on to have such bigger careers and made more money. I think that kind of maybe was a little sticking point for them. But then again, like they said, hey, we're the fucking Ramones, man. Like, just love it or leave it, really.
Well, yeah,
you know
their career went a lot longer.
And it's still going, and it's actually bigger now than they ever were. As far as I see more people wearing Ramones shirts. I mean, I used to have to sneak to wear mine as a kid. When I'd sneak to school, I'd wear one shirt with my Ramones shirt on under it, you know, when I was in fourth grade. Sneak out my parents. But anyways, like I said, my thing is for me, you know, growing up liking those guys, it changed my whole perspective on just music and somewhat life in general, as far as simplicity. And you don't have to be a virtuoso or you don't have to be Rembrandt to be remembered either. You know what I mean? Or you don't have to be, you know, Yngwie Malmsteen and still. So I appreciate that. And as a kid, for me, what they represented is fast music, but with funny lyrics and just looked god awful. And a lot of it had to do with Rock and Roll High School, though, too. With me watching Rock and Roll High School, the whole feeling of that movie, and then you putting the Ramones on top's like the cherry on top for me. Right. So, but you know, I like this documentary. I think it's good. It's kind of sad, you know. There's a few points there at the end too. You're like, holy crap, you know. But hey, it is what it is, and I think it is. To me, it's the documentary that they deserved, as far as it putting it all out there, and letting you make your decision on what the value of the Ramones and blah blah blah. But I still, you know what I mean. I still think it's just a well done. Because I'm hooked on the music documentaries. I mean, I'm watching bands I don't even give a crap about.
Oh yeah, I do too.
So. Yeah. But this one I actually really enjoyed, and it turned me on to some other stuff too. You know, Sugar Baby Love, some other songs, some of the other stuff. And what I respect about those guys, they liked music as far as the stuff that I like, bubblegummy type stuff. But when the Ramones put it together for me, it was fast and loud, and that's what I needed too, So,
right. Well, it's funny too, because even that Gits documentary, they were saying how they influenced bands that you might have heard of more than them, and that they would actually but I've told you before, the pioneers take the arrows. I mean, they really do. And you're not, and then you cannot be the thing that gets me a little under my skin is that you're not the authority on if you're the pioneer or not. Everyone else is. You can't say you are. I mean, because we all think we are a little bit, and it's kind of like, well, maybe we're not, and maybe we are. I'm not totally sure. I do feel a bit of a kinship with Johnny Ramone, way over Joey, way over that. I mean, I do understand that. I do understand.
Well, for one, for him,
I got a little Dee Dee in me, though.
Yeah, me too. I love Dee, and that guy, what a great songwriter. I think he might. I don't throw this out, but probably one of the most underrated. Or he's a great songwriter. Some of them lyrics are goofy and stuff, but they're you got chewing out the rhythm on my bubblegum. Good stuff. Just great lyrics. But if it wasn't for like Johnny Ramone, that band would have been done after 3 albums, 4 albums. Whatever, been done. You know, and it's sad too because you watch that point where he's talking. He's like, "Well, this is it. This is my lot in life. We tried to be the fucking Rolling Stones, basically, or big like that. It's just not in the cards for us. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna tour. We're gonna,
right."
There's worse things in life.
Well, and I think that's the part that kind of bothered me a little bit. It's like you're not the Rolling Stones.
No.
And you shouldn't be the Rolling Stones. And I know what you're saying because that is what they were saying. I agree with you that they had that kind of, well, I guess this is as far as we're going to go. But that's not true because you grow and don't realize it's happening. You don't realize your legend is growing. Once you throw your arms up in the air, just because you did doesn't mean your fans did. And they're going to keep letting other people hear it. They're going to keep letting other people hear it. They're going to keep talking about it. Yep. And as long as you keep going, here's the thing too. Yes, the pioneers take the arrows and they're also usually who's remembered.
Yeah.
They become classics later. They become somebody later. But, look at Fugazi or Ian MacKaye and Minor Threat.
Yeah.
Never did anything except for that little house in Washington on their little label. Everybody knows who they are. Yep. Everybody. How?
Yeah.
How? Yeah. It just is what it is, I mean, it just is what it is. But I just think it's cool. I've been watching a lot more of these punk documentaries and Ramones, and I do like the older stuff, like the Ramones, and then I have been getting into a little bit more of the DC hardcore like documentaries and stuff like that. Yeah, what do you got, Ben Harley? I got enough punk rock and roll going on here. Give me some stuff.
Well,
here.
Well, let's see, Tim. Well, I guess I could try to stick with some of the documentaries since we've been on.
Hey, it's a Tim and Harley documentary show.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I did pick out one. There's also on Amazon Prime. It's a 3-part series on the history of comic books.
Okay, I think I might have seen this. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first one was like Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which is basically kind of about the birth of comics. Okay. Things like that, all the way up to like World War II. And then the second one was basically like the Atomic Age, Marvel puff piece, basically type thing. For the second half. The third half was basically kind of like the new stuff, with Todd McFarlane and then Jim Lee creating Dark Horse Comics and things like that, some other stuff. All 3 of them were about an hour long, really pretty good. I enjoyed most of them. I liked them. But I guess we can get back to be careful what you become thing, because what's kind of funny too is because and the whole thing with Marvel, them coming out, they basically talk about them, changing the way comics were, and we're bringing the gods down from the heavens and we're making them more, human-like and blah, blah, blah. So we're bringing the heroes down to size, basically, and giving them, everyday problems. Right. So what's funny, they're so much more edgy and everything like that. Well, by the time we get to the third documentary, Marvel movies now, Timo, they're such a big deal, but Marvel movies now are supposed to be they're just fun escapism and this, like, well, what happened to the dark, dreary or brooding heroes and stuff that you guys supposedly created and all that? Now it's okay that we went full circle. Now we are becoming what we didn't want to be. Because we were breaking away from the 50s and all that stuff, and we're becoming so much more self-aware. Now we're just making popcorn movies. What the hell is it? What is it? So I don't know. I gotta stop watching stuff on some of these things because it just irritates the living hell out of me. I did enjoy seeing it from the artist's point of view and things like that. And they do say in there, some of the things that they did, and but I guess I kind of liked the Truth, Justice, and the American Way one the best. I mean, of the three shows. So not bad, buddy. Not too bad. I think if you're a comic book fan, you'll really do enjoy them. They do touch on Batman, The Dark Knight, and The Watchmen as basically kind of the first two graphic novels that really started the graphic novel, which I appreciated that too. So that was nice to see.
I think what happens is that when I was a little kid, like in the early 70s, and was reading comic books and stuff, my brother had stacks and stacks. He still has stacks and stacks of comic books. So, and they were almost all Marvel and DC. And that was a difference that I was telling you about last week. I think we were talking about this too, was that the DC comic books to me were starkly different. They were much more rated G, in a way. And that's why I said they were much more black and white. And yes, the Marvel was more, it was still fantastic. I mean, as far as planets and aliens and bullshit and stuff like that, But it was a little darker. It was. Now, that's not to say that it stayed that way. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think they've been saddled with some of that stereotype a little bit. And that's why I was telling you, it's completely changed. I mean, the Dark Knight and all that stuff helped change DC, in a way. But the characters is what I mean. The characters of the DC, they had Batman. Batman was their darker guy. That's what they had, and stuff. But then they had Superman. It was not a dark character at all. No, I'm sorry, he wasn't. No, that's just not the way it was and stuff. So I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference in the characters, and I don't see the problem in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see the problem in it. It's like, if you prefer the Marvel guys over the old Superman, that's fine, because you can go up to Frank Miller, some of his stuff, or you can go to the Batman versus Superman stuff. And it's pretty dark. Yeah. You got it right there. And the character was old at that point, right? So he was world weary. To me, that was different. It took a character. It didn't say Superman wasn't Superman. It said Superman was Superman. And then now, later on, he's grown into this. Yeah. That to me was
that's cool. What I like. That Batman, The Dark Knight, is just, it really, I don't know. And I didn't get it until I was about 18. So it had been out maybe a year or a year and a half before I read it. Now, I wasn't the biggest comic book nerd when I was a kid. I enjoyed comic books. I was more into drawing them and collecting things, and stuff. But my oldest memories are and actually the oldest thing I have from my childhood, I have a superheroes lunchbox, and it's all Marvel guys, and shit. Spider-Man's swinging on a rope, for crying out loud. So
a silken rope,
and it's not even colored. It's colored brown. I swear to God. So
right.
But I don't know. I have a stick up my butt over the whole thing. My whole thing is when I put out there shouldn't be a faction of both. That's what upsets me. But now that there is, I'm having to put my opinion of how I feel that it's, first of all, it's detrimental. But then, like I said, and I did come out of this again, and I know I'm not going to make any friends or fans over this, but it come out of this thinking too, like Marvel fans think they're the smartest people, the most ingenious people in the room, and you're not.
Right.
And I love Stan Lee. I think he's a great gentleman. I love seeing, but every time I hear Excelsior, I don't get a tingle up my spine. I just don't. I don't know. So
it's like the argument between PC and Mac,
Oh,
like,
God.
Use what fits you better. Whatever fits you better, man. Do it.
Right. Well, I like all of them. Like I was saying, there's more Marvel characters that I like than DC characters. I don't know. I feel like I'm having to defend characters I shouldn't have to, and I don't have to. Batman will be around forever, and will always be And probably, and what's funny, they said it in this, which was a thing they were saying like the Batman character is probably the greatest character they were saying like ever in the history of anything, really. Like just as far as how long he's been around, how many publications, everything. He's just, and how people gravitate more towards the Batman character now than Superman or anything like that.
Right.
Stuff. So,
well, DC they were first.
Well, you're saying you got, but you got Batman. Basically, what you have a guy who can kick anybody's butt pretty much for the most part, and also is the world's greatest detective. So you have those two things going, and he's a playboy. Whatever. What do you want? Right? What do you want? So, all right, Tim. Sorry, I was a little long on that stuff, but another documentary I watched, which I know you probably might have seen, and I know I don't know if you'd enjoy it, but it's more up your alley. It was called VHS Massacre. And it's a little documentary.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, a little documentary there on Prime about them guys kind of going around searching out VHSs and they're a lot of them collectors. They had a podcast as well, and then they bring people in from Troll 2 or somebody, like how we have Danny Hicks on.
Right.
And so, that was kind of okay. They kind of go through all the different stores, and then there's a director I know on there, and he can't find his stuff except for like a mom and pop place. But basically, it's just like the ending of mom and pop stores, VHS stores and stuff. So
that's
not a bad documentary. It's okay.
That's the one that got me to start bringing some VHSs of shows, because I didn't realize that the people that were collecting the VHSs, like, they wanted the weird stuff. Because it was so cheap to put that stuff out, and there's some really weird, bizarre, like little, like homemade things and stuff.
Yeah,
and
well, that's what they're doing. They're going to like Goodwill and stuff like that, and
flea
buying
markets,
aerobics for the geriatric with diabetes. You know what I mean? And they'll sit around and watch it and laugh at them, which that's whatever. It is what it is. Now, I don't have as much nostalgia for VHS, I guess, as some of these people do. VHS changed my life as well, though. It did. I mean, when it came out and we had VCR, wow. And I do remember my trips. We had Total Video. We had Video Connection. And it was right there by where my old shop was at Parkway Plaza originally. That's where it was. And we'd walk over there. And I remember, and it's funny because a lot of these things they say in there make me feel, I don't know, vindicated a little bit too, because same thing. They're like, well, the art kind of, it's very misleading. Oh, of course it will, but I'm like, it vindicated me because I said got so burned that it got to the point where, and it was hard for me. I would get these movies and I'd just watch the ones that the 30 or 40 that I loved so much, and I'd watch them over and over, because I got to the point where I stopped looking for new stuff unless it was recommended to me or I happened upon it, because I would rent these movies and I get home, and for me back then it wasn't funny. Toxic Avenger and stuff like that kind of was, it started to get me into the funnier horror, and then Evil Deads and stuff. But like, for me, horror was much more serious to me, and I didn't want to see it be really poked at that much. Now, I can watch Abbott and Costello versus the Mummy if I want to see that.
Right.
Back then,
right?
When I'm 13 years old, I want to see blood and guts. So I fell for a lot of that stuff back then. So it was funny how they talked about those days, and it's kind of nostalgic.
I think the poster art on those VHSs were like the poster art in the movies from like the 50s and stuff. Where
they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're beautiful. There's no way they could make good on the promises of those posters ever.
Well, like the guy said, they have a poster and you'd be like, well, that's not in the movie, and that's exactly what I would say. I get home and be like, well, that part's not in the movie, and that's why I bought it.
Yeah, exactly.
See this part, like
exactly.
I don't look like the monster.
The other thing I find kind of interesting too, and we're part of this, by the way, is that do you ever notice that most people looking for the VHSs or the people looking on VHSs when I bring them to a show are young?
Yeah.
They're young. Yeah. And you're looking at them like, were you even born?
Yeah.
When these things were a thing. And when you think about it though, like, and we have no use for them. I'm like, what did I put in the box when I'm selling them? Attention fans of blurry picture and hissy sound. Might I present to you VHS? And the thing is, but then the two of us have sat with Danny Hicks talking about some of the old black and white movies, and I don't think he has as much use for those because he grew up with them. And he's glad they're not all low budget black and white, cardboard robots anymore. And we love that stuff. I just think it's a generational thing. So for us, these kids, it's almost like they want to go back and see where they came from, not physically, but metaphorically almost. It's like they want to come back and I mean, it's the same kids that find a Viewmaster and get freaked out by it.
Yeah.
They're like,
they talk a lot about the whole history of, up to DVDs and then to Blu-rays and now digital downloads, and they have Lloyd Kaufman on there and a couple other independent guys, that really it hurt them too once that VHS went away and people weren't buying, like Blockbuster weren't buying these, C budget, D budget film.
Yeah. Well, and that documentary becomes a little bit more of the death of the physical medium, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Kinda. I remember that. Yeah. I remember
so it's not bad, Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people would appreciate that like these type of, things. So,
right.
It was kind of funny. They did show a Day of the Triffids DVD that I got off a good friend of mine named Tim O'Saban.
Oh, nice.
So they showed that in there. I was like, ooh, I got that one. I'm looking at it right now. So,
right.
But, okay, a couple more things real quick, Tim. I know we're getting long. The Terror wrapped up. We're done with the Terror. Oh. Okay. It had the last couple shows I really enjoyed, but the ending, anymore, it's so hard with endings. So, but overall, I'm only going to give it like a C+ at times. I did like some of the actors. I like the main guy a lot. Right. I really liked him a lot. And I thought he really held it together. And the guy that I hated a lot got eaten and ripped in half.
Oh, there you go.
I enjoyed that too. So
it wasn't a total bust for you. There you go.
So you know what? I mean, I know he did his job. I'll tell you that much because I hated that little sucker.
Right.
So he's dead and gone. But okay. Gotham also wrapped up for their season. Really pretty good. I enjoyed where they're going with it. They showed a couple new villains that look like they're coming out. I kind of excited about the Man-Bat until they kind of showed what he sort of looked like. And I don't know, kind of looked like Gene Simmons in the Dress to Kill, or no, is it Dress to Kill, their album? But he didn't have the makeup on with frizzy hair. I don't know. It just didn't look right. So I don't know. It looked kind of like a pimp Gene Simmons bat.
Okay. This doesn't sound good.
And I'm a big fan of the Man-Bat, but so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. But looks like they're really amping up for Batman, but I don't know. Well, we'll see.
Don't get let down.
People up.
Don't get let down.
I pretty much came to the realization I probably should just leave it lie.
Well, yeah, they're probably gonna make
he's gonna come Batman in the last episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're probably gonna make you think that Batman's gonna come throughout the entire series, so people keep watching to see if Batman comes.
Yeah, he's all right. The kid's getting better. He's okay. He's all right. He's gone through some stuff, so I can see where he's starting to become he's becoming a little bit hardened, Timo. So
right.
All right, two more things, Timo, real fast. Mystery Science 3000. I've been watching a couple of those. I watched Double Agent Super Dragon, I do believe it is.
That's an old one.
That's not a bad one. Yeah, it's not a bad one. And then I also watched the other day, what's the one with the puppet? Hugo.
Devil Doll?
Devil Doll, I watched that. And it's been a little while since I've seen that one. Man, that guy's creepy in there. I'm not talking about the doll.
Didn't we review that movie?
We might have.
If not, I watched it. I don't know if we reviewed it or not. But that guy, the guy in that movie, the devil, that's the one from the early 60s, right? Black and white. Yeah. But it's not old. And the guy has like a magician goatee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the guy that is the actor that started the Criterion Collection. If you can believe that.
Wow.
He's the guy that started the Criterion on DVD and Blu-ray and stuff. Yeah. So I always thought that was crazy. That guy right there, he's the guy. He's one of the guys that started the company, I think.
Wow.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Devil Doll.
That movie's not that bad. The dummy movies are pretty good. I like the dummy movies.
He's a creepy little Hugo's a creep, man.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a creep.
Well, you got Magic too in your stack of stuff there. Yes. And I don't know if we reviewed that before or not, but that's a good one with Anthony Hopkins. We'll get to it here soon.
Okay. Last but not least, Tim, I want to give a shout out to Tim O'Saban, Danny Hicks, Brain Invasion featuring Syrian Beard. I want to give a shout out. I've been listening to the disc that I was given to when I left the palatial Dermal Ridge. Yes, so I've been listening to it. Yeah. It's good stuff, though. I like it. You Timo, you make Michael Schenker blush. So good stuff on there, buddy. So
Thanks.
very, very good stuff.
I'm glad you like it. We worked a long time.
Yes.
Mostly worked on it for the sound, but I did retrack a lot of that stuff multiple times. Just using different amps and doing stuff like that. I could never really get the sound. To be quite frank with you, I don't think we ever did get the sound that we wanted for that. But we left it go so long that when we came back to it, it was hard to remember what sound we were looking for in the beginning. And it sounded good enough. So we were like, okay, it's good enough. You know, I mean, it's definitely better than we thought it was.
No, I think it sounds great, buddy. I
appreciate
really enjoyed
that. Glad.
it. So, yeah,
Glad
for sure.
Like it. You can go to Amazon or iTunes, or you can go to timoandharleyshow.com, which I never do talk about again. And there is a music page and there's a player on there. You can check it out. And again, for a paltry sum,
do yourself a favor.
you could purchase it. Yeah, right there. Let's get to our official films, though, Mr. Ben Harley.
All right, Timo, what we got, buddy?
Let's start off with the 1978 film, The Evil.
The Evil.
Let me get out Movie Guy, and we'll get you a storyline synopsis here.
Okay.
And here we go.
All right, buddy.
Psychologist C.J. Arnold, Richard Crenna, and his wife Caroline, Joanna Pettit. What? Joanna Pettit. Pettit. P-E-T-T-E-T. So how about Joanna Pettit?
There you go.
Buy a dilapidated historical mansion with a dark past in hopes of transforming the estate into a drug rehabilitation clinic with the help of some of his students and current patients. When he opens a secret door in the basement in the house, Arnold inadvertently releases a malevolent presence.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
1978, Ben Harley. I'm going to start off on this. I was blown away by this. Do you want to know why?
Why is that, man?
Never seen it.
No, nor have I.
I was watching a special feature or a documentary, and it might have been for what was the Barn of the Naked Dead Circus of Terror movie that we just did not too long ago, where Andrew Prine has like the carnival in the desert, and he's got women on chains and stuff like that. Disgusting movie. Many of our fantasies were played out in the film. Yeah. I do believe it was that he was talking about it, and somehow I caught this movie on IMDb or something. I was like, whoa. Oh, I know what it was. Andrew Prine said he thought that maybe he could turn his career to be like kind of a minor Vincent Price or something like that in horror films, which is cool. At least he admits it, says,
right.
And so I got to looking and I saw this movie, The Evil from 1978. So I was going and I looked at the alternate titles because that's usually why I miss them. It's an alternate title of something I've already seen. It just didn't sound like I'd seen it. So I bought it, gave it to you.
Yeah. And
just throughout the whole movie, I kept looking over at Angel going, I can't believe I've never seen this. None of it is even ringing a bell for me. And she was surprised too, just given the year.
Sure. And
the people in it. It was clearly a theatrical type of film and everything. Not that there was much else but theatrical movies in 78. But anyway, so it was that part blew me away. That part of it did. So this is a 1970s supernatural evil haunted house. So I want to give you this, but let's say it's a cross between The Haunting and the Amityville Horror.
Yeah, that sounds
pretty close to. What'd you think about it, Harley?
This has it's chock full of some pretty good actors in it too. It's not a bad movie. And actually, the thing is that it didn't really start slow. It gets right into it, and one thing I did like is that there is a lot of action as far as the ghost or whatever malevolent presence, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did appreciate that. I sometimes have a hard time with, when you're in an old creaky house and you can't get out. I mean, I'd be trying constantly to get out. But they're like, nah, I'm going to go upstairs and take a nap. And then we're going to hang out over here for a little bit. No, get the hell out of here. Right. So that is kind of hard for me, but it's okay in this one. It's not bad. There is, the special effects aren't bad. There is a creepy, I wish it was a creepy ghost. It was kind of a goofy ghost. I mean, I've seen better ghosts on the Brady Bunch. Let's put it that way. So, But for the most part, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's constant. Like the house really. So they go to the house, and it's for me. It's like the house. At first, I'm like, the house doesn't want you there, but why has it got you locked in? It seems like, you know.
Right,
but then,
right.
okay, well, maybe it does want you there, you know. And
Right.
as you find out as the movie goes along, you know. But not bad. I don't think as far as like the acting's really good. The special effects are decent. It's just for me, it was just a tad too long, just a little too long. But the payoff was good because I got to see my boy, the King Tut.
Oh yeah, Victor Buono.
Yep,
Victor Buono playing that
Oh, yeah.
Satan character. Which,
Yes, yeah.
That, I kind of felt like you tell me if you felt this way too. I felt like they started putting this movie together as like a tax write-off, not intending to finish it. And they were just like, it was like a cocaine thing. And then like by when they were getting around to like, we kind of got a movie here. We better come up with an ending. Yeah. And then since they were all coked out and shit, they're like, Victor's down the street at the bar.
Yeah.
He's got a white suit on. Wouldn't it be great if you get out? He's Satan, man. You think that'd be great? And then we can just have just shoot Crenna tomorrow, rolling around the ground. Just shoot him like he's in pain, rolling around the ground.
Right.
We'll get Victor next week. We'll just shoot him in different times. He'll never know. Didn't it kind of feel like that a little bit?
Yeah,
it
like,
did.
Well, because there for the longest time, I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, no, I swear Victor Buono's in here or whatever. And I'm like, but I haven't seen it, like, and then finally there at the end, like, oh, okay, here he is, and he's a little weird. He's a little weird,
He's a little weird anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little weird,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that was like that ending was, it's okay. It's just kind of okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, the movie itself, it just seemed like, even though it kept me kind of interested, it just needed maybe, I don't know, a little something more. It just, I don't know.
It felt like a really rough made for TV movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Really rough.
And I think at the time when it came out, I probably really would have liked this. Like,
I agree
more because at that time I was I liked the I don't want to say the occult, but movies like this, like a little more spooky or scary, and stuff. And at this time period, that would have been the perfect time. But it just, I don't know. For me, it never really caught fire. I guess you know what I mean. It's an okay film.
Yeah.
It's just for me, it's just there, kind of. It didn't really I don't know.
Well, movies back then, to your point, there was a lot of house movies. You started The Legend of Hell House, The Haunting is early too. And as a little kid, you would you'd be afraid of Michael Myers or Norman Bates, whatever. You'd be afraid of a house, an entire house.
Yeah.
You're like, just don't go in, because it's one thing after another, and there might be a guy in there on top of it. There might be like a Michael Myers guy or somebody. But I think that because of movies like Amityville and, The Haunting and stuff like that, Poltergeist is a good example, of that too. And this movie was really kind of saddled in there. And I agree with you. If I would have seen this when I was a kid, it would have scared me. Now, I don't know if it would have been one that was keeping me up at night.
No.
And I don't think I probably would have remembered the ending because it would have confused me as a little kid. I wouldn't have understood what was going on. But I sat there the whole time going, and the more and more I watched it, I think I kept getting more bummed out. I didn't see it when I was a kid. Because you're right. It's a decent 1978 supernatural low budget movie with a decent cast. Yeah. And it does feel like the movie came off better than they expected it to. It really does feel that way in a way, so that it's interesting for that alone, too. But you got Richard Crenna, you got Andrew Prine, Victor Buono. I mean, it's a good cast and a decent, it's just not a super decent story. Not that the script is bad, but the story is kind of, lots of string effects. Lots of string effects. You did see those, I'm sure. And the other thing too is I kept calling it the Robin Williams ghost because it looked like Robin Williams to me. Just kind of in bad taste, I guess. And the other thing too, one thing I did get a good laugh out of though. Yeah. The old Drinky McGee caretaker guy in the beginning. Oh yeah. With the pipe and he was he was a top shelf Schneider stunt double.
Oh, wasn't I thought it was at first. I'm not kidding you.
No, did you think it was Schneider?
Yeah,
oh,
it
he was a
looked
top
lot
shelf.
like it, yeah.
But then he turned his head and they shot him from a different angle and he turned into Alice Cooper. Like whoa! Schneider just turned into Alice Cooper. What the fuck? What have I not been told about evening television in the 70s? You know, he had to make his money somehow. All right, you know, I mean, he had to pay for rehab somehow. The other thing too in this movie, and I'm going to connect this to something in the other film that we're doing this week. The dog was impressive. The acting of that dog, because W.C. Fields would tell you, don't work with kids and dogs, and I'm going to talk about each one in these two movies. But the dog was great, and I mean that dog to me, I tried to IMDb the dog to see if it worked on The Thing.
Because
if it worked on Carpenter's The Thing, it looked like it was like, well, that's a shepherd, but still, that thing was on cue, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man, it was good. So, but and that's the thing too. There is a doorway to hell almost in the basement, a lot like Amityville.
Yes.
Crenna just has to get that damn door open for some reason. I mean, you would have thought he would thought twice about that, but you know.
You know what's funny is he's the whole time he's like, no, this can't be, no, and the things that keep happening, and finally he's like, what is it gonna take for you to believe that this isn't like, you know, just happened to happen? No, this house wants to kill us. You know, like, what is it going to take for you? And I was laughing. I'm like, seriously,
right?
What is it going to take?
Right.
I mean,
what was funny is at very first I was mistaken what was going on. I caught up real quick, but I was mistaken at first. I thought that they were buying the house as a paranormal research group.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So when they went in and were poo-pooing everything happened, I'm like going, they're there to study this shit. And then I realized, oh, wait, that's right. They're rehabbing it for a drug place. That's right. So they don't want to make, no. That's a cocaine flashback. So, yeah, but as they would probably try to convince you of in the 70s, you know.
Right.
But, you know, that weed will kill you and cocaine will give you flashbacks. You better watch that stuff. So, but I'm going to give The Evil normal great bait up, and I'm going to tell people who listen to the show and like that era of movies that we love, you know, around the. Yeah. If you haven't seen this, it is definitely worth looking at because it's probably. Harley, you know how I am. If I see a movie from this era I haven't seen, it's pretty decent. That's a win. Yeah. That's a win. Yeah. I wish they still made movies from the 70s.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense at all. I wish they still made movies from 1981, and it's kind of like finding one. It's a little bit like finding one. So, and it's much better than the fucking low budget homage pictures they put out now. I couldn't. Oh yeah, I can't handle those. You know, this really feels like a 70s movie. Really, I can watch a 70s movie. It feels more like a 70s movie. So, but I'm going to give it a great pay pep, Ben Harley. What you think?
I'm just going to give it a mild great pay pep. I think it could have been a little better, but it's not bad. And especially for anyone who's a movie buff, kind of more like you, maybe, Tim, than I, as far as, you know, wants to see everything. Yeah. Or own everything. I think this should be seen. If you haven't seen it, this definitely needs to be in the collection or, you know, because, or be talked about because this is right in the wheelhouse for this time period. Right. And like, you know, for what was going on for movies. But you know, some of them get forgotten.
They do. Well, and I remember this. I remember on VHS because I have the cover here. I'm looking at it, and the cover looks like it's just a hole with stuff. Looks like it's getting sucked down into it. It's like a painting, and there's nothing really on it. It just says The Evil, and then like an open hole with things getting sucked down into it. I remember the VHS cover, but there was nothing in it that made me want to rent it. So I think the box was probably not lying to me good enough, you know? Because it's basically just the door to the hell looks like painting with stuff flying down into it, or it could be stuff flying out of it. Who knows? But there's no arrows on the lines here for the artist. So I'm in comic book blindness here, but. I don't disagree with that. So if you missed it like I did, and apparently Harley did, I would check it out. They can get it on a Roger Corman double feature with Twice Dead, actually. Which, the other one has Todd Bridges from Different Strokes in it. And, so we'll leave out. I did not give you that one. I'll just I'll just watch that one myself. Let's get to our next official film, Mr. Ben Harley. This one, I'm 99.9.3. That's 2 points. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
Percent that we reviewed this a long time ago. Long time ago on this show. Because I remember us talking about this in a very similar way. Actually, our memory of seeing this as a kid. The movie is from 1983. Although it was filmed in 1980, if that helps with anything at all. And then it sat on the shelf for a few years. It is called The Being.
The Being.
The Being. Yes.
Being.
Yes. Let me get out movie guy and do a storyline, a little synopsis here for you. All right, here we go. A mutated creature is wreaking havoc in a small town in Idaho. A police chief and a government scientist team up to save the rural town from its menace. Right on.
That's
okay,
right.
Let's see here. The Being. Now, again, we have, this is, and we've talked about this before. We have now, Mr. Ben Harley, this is show number, 402 or something. And considering we do about 2 movies every show, you start doing the math on that. And we're going to go back and talk about something that we've seen before. Now, we did review this. If you were listening to the show in the first 1 or 2 years of the show, you probably heard this. If not, and we might change our opinion on it a little bit. So we're going to revisit this and see if the previous review still holds up. Now, I don't remember what the hell we said last time. I'm not going back to look. It's too far back in the past. But I'm going to go with this is my story. I'm sticking with it. So here we go. Okay, so this movie was actually made in 1980 as Easter Sunday. That was the name of the film, was Easter Sunday. Yes. And let's see, The Being. It was directed by by Mrs. Star of the film, Jackie Kong. So it was actually a woman who directed this, and the reason I put Mrs. Star of the film was because the star of the film is named Bill Osco. And Bill Osco is Jackie Kong's husband. But Bill Osco just didn't like his name for this movie, Mr. Ben Harley. So he had to give himself the stage name of Rexx Coltrane?
Yes, sir.
Rexx Coltrane?
Yeah.
That's not even gay porn. That's porn I've never heard of. Name.
That's Dukes of Hazzard porn.
Dukes of Hazzard porn. I might like that. You get Daisy up in there. Yeah. I don't know Daisy with Uncle Jesse, but Daisy would be okay. So Rexx Coltrane plays Mortimer Lutz.
That's it.
This is what I remember about this movie, and it's pretty much the same. You got a cast of aging stars, in it, and good ones. You got Martin Landau, Jose Ferrer, Ruth Buzzy, Dorothy Malone. So you got him in there, and then you get Rexx Coltrane. Yeah, and here's what's really funny. As a little kid, and this is how we are affected by what we see on television and stuff. As a little kid, I thought that Rexx Coltrane was fat. Because he's average build, I guess. So I thought he was fat. Yeah, exactly. And maybe the beard put some pounds on him too. I'm not sure. But so this is a simple.
He was a little bit doughier than probably.
A little bit. So, but this movie is your average toxic waste monster.
Yes.
That's it. There's not a whole lot except for the interesting and face in palm, because it's in Idaho. I didn't know that potatoes gave off toxic waste, but apparently they do, because it's a potato factory. Wink, wink, we're in Idaho or whatever. So, yes, Jose Ferrer runs a evil potato factory, and it gave rise to The Being, a monster, which changes shape and form throughout the film, and thank God, because if they showed you the thing at the end the whole time, you'd be like, oh, come on, please. You just put some slime over one of the cardboard robots from the 50s. Stop it. So again, this is the second time that we reviewed this, and I know that both of us saw this on cable back in the day, because I remember that from the previous review all those years ago. So Harley, what was it like going back to revisit The Being?
You know what, Tim? I actually enjoyed the film a little bit better this time, I think. Growing up is when I saw this with my buddy Steven Englehart. We were at his house watching it, and I know you and I have talked about even if I'd never had seen this movie ever again, I'd still remember it from watching it that day. And I remember you actually turned me on to it. I believe when we first reviewed it, what it was and what it was called and all that, because I'd only seen it once up until then. So, I had some nostalgia for it, but then, going back and watching, I'm like, oh boy, But this time I went in with some pretty low expectations, but just expecting to have some fun and actually enjoyed some more of it. I think this movie could have been a lot better. The problem with this movie, there's half of it's really good. Half of it's really good as far as an old, this style of horror film, giant monster film. It's better than most that we've reviewed. The other half, not so good. You know what I mean? And a lot of it has to do with Rexx Coltrane.
I agree.
Not that he's the worst actor,
but he's close.
But he's just slow in his delivery. And then I don't want to see him walk another step after this movie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He walks. They show him come out of a trailer and then walk 100 yards to his car. And then
the second
two more
unit,
scenes later.
The second unit earned its money in this movie.
Oh man, there's so much of him walking. And then there's one time he comes. I think he's leaving the bar, and he goes to his car. And there's the drunk sitting in the back of his car. And it's funny. I swear to God, I was like, that is the slowest walk I've ever seen in my entire life. Ever. I've never seen a slower walk in my life.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just oh my God, it's so awful. Awful. But anyways, I did enjoy a lot more of this film. I think this film has a lot going for it. Actors and the acting in it's good. It's shot actually pretty well. It doesn't look bad. It's got enough tempo to it, but there's just certain things about it that just make the wheels fall off of it. And a lot of it is Rexx Coltrane. Yeah. Now, if this would have had, oh God, Tim, well, give me a good name of a guy from that time period that you like. A good
Robert
actor.
Forster.
Decent. Yeah, if you'd have put that guy in there, or even
John Ritter.
Yeah, Robert Prine. Andrew Prine.
Andrew Prine, yeah. Or Robert Prine, but yeah.
Yeah. Or Robert, Easton, for fuck's sake.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? But I think that's what kind of hurt it. But going back and watching it this time, I actually really enjoyed it this time. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much the last time. I did from the standpoint of watching it again for the first time in many years. This time, though, I went back. Like I said, I had some real low expectations. And actually, I came out enjoying more of it than I thought. I really did. So, the monster hurts, though, too, buddy.
Oh,
the monster.
Yeah. Well, at the end, you don't really see. You see glimpses and things of stuff that it's just red and slimy or something.
Yeah,
that's okay. You don't really know. It's almost like a Swamp Thing where it can devolve into slime and go somewhere else. That's kind of neat, but they don't push it too hard. And I think the reason they didn't push that hard enough is because it was just really hard to do in film.
Oh, it's a bad, awful monster. It's got one eye.
Yeah.
And not that I'm not trying to be racist against people like Cyclopses and things like that. It's not my intention, Timo. But
you have a Nazi monocle sign.
Yeah. What it looked like, Timo, remember, like that, this, you buy some styrofoam, that comes in shapes like a ball and things, triangles or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. It looked like someone took one of them and then spray painted it red. Put this goofy googly eye in the middle, and then put pencils for teeth coming out.
Yeah,
it just looked like, I'm not kidding, it was not much more than a step above of what I just explained.
No,
really, it's bad. And I think that really hurt too, because even though the googly eye made me chuckle, it's still not what I want in a monster. I think up until then, I think they kept him pretty well hidden, and some of it was okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? My favorite parts when those two guys are smoking the
I remember that. I remember that.
I love that part because the guy says, "This movie's so bad, that they send this joke around to try to scare you. And then he opens the window and he goes, I'm going to tell him to fuck off. And he does. And then he gets pulled out the window.
Yeah,
and to me, that's just was the funniest thing ever of all time. And it's still, to me, it's still funny.
That dude had some good weed too, because he was stoned 2 hours later when he was talking to
that guy's eyes. I've never seen a guy that high in my life.
Hey, Wooderson, get over here. You know? He was very Wooderson-esque.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think something was bothering me in the movie. I think that hurt it, and I could be wrong about this.
Yeah.
Because it was just difficult to tell, but it almost seemed like Rexx Coltrane. Rexx Coltrane?
Yeah.
It almost seemed like Rexx Coltrane was dubbed.
Yeah.
In a way, or voiced over. And that, if you're not that hurts amazing actors.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. So I think that if he was dubbed, that didn't help either, because I think that wooden delivery that you're talking about is let's put it this way. I'll be nice. That wooden delivery that was so well achieved is much easier to achieve in a stale studio than it is on set, I would think. And I might be wrong. I might be wrong because, you know, depending on what they were using for audio there, it could have just sounded like it. But it almost sounded like it.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
I mean, he heard it so bad. Now, here's the thing. Now, in The Evil, I talked about the dogs acting impressed me. Okay.
Yeah.
W.C. Fields never worked with dogs and kids. Now, in this movie, there's an Easter egg hunt that Ruth Buzzy puts on. Okay.
Yes.
There's this little toddler girl.
Yeah.
In it that goes after an egg. And it's kind of funny because she keeps getting eggs swiped from her by older kids.
Oh,
yeah. By older kids and stuff like that. So she basically finds a hole that the being lives in. They never went back to the hole that I can remember. They should have had a pit with the being in it. That would have been cool, but this is another plot hole, basically. But man, she's tremendous in that.
She is good.
I mean, she's like waving her arms back and forth, like, what is it? And you've got a little girl. It's got to be almost exactly the way that Sydney would act in that situation, I would think.
Right. And I was thinking too, I kept thinking, I said, what did they put in there to get her to try to grab at? You know, like, what does she want out of there? To even go over there to do it. You know what I mean? Like, or like, was her favorite toy or something? But you're right. She was, she might have been the best actress in the film.
Well, and she was hitting her marks. I mean, she was going along because it's not easy to film something like that. People think you just walk around and people shoot it. No, you got to stay in frame. You have to hit marks or else you're off camera real easy.
Yeah.
And it was like the dog to me. That was very impressive. Two very impressive things that the W.C. Fields would have been proud to see. I'm sure. Yeah. But otherwise, it's just a silly monster movie with the bad, painful eco message. Don't eat potatoes. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure about any of it,
I don't know.
I don't know either. But I think that I agree with you. I think this is a fun movie. I'm glad. You know what? It was kind of cool to hear you say you went into it low expectations and then had more fun with it. That is exactly how I go into a lot of these. Which is why maybe sometimes I'm giving things great bait up and you're not, because I'm going into it going, I didn't want to have anything more than a silly fun movie. You know, we told Danny Hicks this when he was here. It's like, I'm tired of it being so serious and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not buying it anymore. All I'm buying is these are overpaid actors.
Yeah.
Boo-hooing. And then they go home, they boo-hoo all over social media and whatever the hell else they're got their pains a bunch about. Yeah. So, but anyway, so I enjoyed this. I'm going to give it a grape ape up, just a grape ape up, just normal grape ape up. It is fun. Rexx Coltrane, his career was as long as it should have been.
I must say probably didn't go much further than this.
Right. Jackie
Poor
Kong.
Martin Landau.
Martin Landau. That's why I was telling Angie. I was like, Martin Landau was doing this for a while till he won an Academy Award in Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Jackie Kong, the director, actually, she did Night Patrol and she did Blood Diner. Blood Diner is a fairly well-respected, low-budget, like kind of a fun cult movie. So there's a little bit here. There's a little bit of horror, history, whatever, in this wrapped up in a little bit. So, but again, just a great vape up. It's fun to go back and watch. It is on Amazon Prime right now. I'm not very impressed with the transfer, but the transfer on DVD was not very good either, because I watched it on Prime for a little bit. I was like, no, this isn't good enough for me. So I grabbed my DVD and I realized I was watching the exact same transfer. They were just streaming it. I'm like, oh, well, I'll stick with the DVD then.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look real great, but I don't think it looked real great the day they shot it. So
no, probably not.
I mean, it's not like it's filmed bad. It's just kind of bad film. And the editing is a little
Yeah.
choppy. Or maybe it's a print that's a little hacked up. I don't know. But great Bape Up, though, Mr. Ben Harley. Great Bape Up.
Yes.
What you think?
I'm also going to give it a great Bape Up. Mostly for the nostalgia of it.
Yeah.
It's
It's a big part, too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually really enjoyed this much more this time than I did when we first reviewed it, like as far as the actual movie. And I saw a lot of good qualities in it. This one happens to be a little too long, I think, too. I think they could have wrapped up, because there's the monster scene when Rexx Coltrane fights the monster at the end. It's a little.
Yes.
They could have wrapped that up a little bit more.
We noted that when we were watching too, that it's like, well, here goes the padding. Here they're padding. They're just running back and forth. The two things I remember real quick, because you say the things, I remember when he gets accosted in his home and runs across the train tracks, because it never made sense to me.
Yeah.
There's nothing chasing him at all. Like, I'm like, that was an editor trying to make a scene, basically there. Yeah. And the other one was the gal on the movie screen in the drive-in. The naked lady. She's still naked. So she's still a lady. And I still smiled. Yeah. I still smiled.
It's so funny.
And I got revenge for my Revenge of the Creature with or the Creature in Black Lagoon with Richard Carlson with his muscles. I got lady boobs. I was like, a little payback for the oiled up Richard Denning and Richard Carlson. Yeah. So, but those parts I remember. Yeah. So you're great Bape Up in it.
Yeah. Yep.
And nostalgia, and I'm pretty much the same way. So you have to go into this one to have fun. If you do, then I think you'll enjoy it. The evil, go into it with a little curiosity. Don't have any expectations. Just go into it if you like movies from that era, and this will fit right in. It'll fit right in. It's not going to blow you away, but it fits, and that's kind of cool. And I hadn't seen it, so maybe I'm the only one. I don't know, but I had not, so it was fun. Yeah. Not too bad of a week, Mr. Ben Harley. Had some golden era movies there.
That's right.
From what do I consider? I can never remember what I consider the golden era. 75 to 85, something like that. Around that area. Yeah. Around that area. Yeah. But good times. All right. Well, next week, Mr. Ben Harley, we might be getting into some animal horror, and you might even actually talk about zombies. You might talk about zombies. So I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to leave it at that. And so next week, if you guys want to hear Ben Harley talk about animals and zombies, Mr. Ben Harley zombies, tune in. So, all right. Until then, Mr. Ben Harley, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Tim Owen Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.